Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Kickback, man. This week we got a very special guest. Last week we had a great conversation about real estate, and to parlay that, we're going to talk about credit today, man. So I think having this brother on, his name is Errol Thomas. He is the CEO of Thomas and Associates Credit Solutions. He's going to be able to give us some real gems in regards to improving your credit, how you should look at credit, just educating us on what a credit score is. And, we'll also get into some life stuff as well, man, how he got to this point in his life, and even what makes him qualified to be the CEO of a credit solutions firm. So, man, my brother, man, welcome to the show, first and foremost, man.
Brother, thank you. Thank you, Ben.
Man, for sure.
I'm honored that you even thought about me, and appreciate the opportunity to participate on your platform. I love what you're doing.
Man, no, I appreciate it, man, because I follow Errol on Facebook, man. We've actually met through a friend of ours. Shout out Said, by the way, man. What up, Said B? And I mean, we've been real cool ever since, man. We were both in his wedding, and just being able to, get to know one another over the years, play a little golf together. And I mean, Errol is a very genuine brother, man. He's righteous, man. And number one, not only is he a CEO and can help with credit, but I mean, he's just a good pillar in the community. Give us a background, if you would, about how you got to this point in your life and some of the things that kind of led to the launch of your business.
Okay, absolutely. I had been working in the community association industry for about 20 years. Moved to North Carolina about 10 years ago. Had full custody of my son. He moved with me, and we lived in an apartment in Gastonia for about 4 years.
Okay.
Got to the point where I wanted a home for me and my son. Knew I needed some work on my credit in order to be in a position to do that. So started doing a little research on credit repair. Talked to a couple different credit repair companies, got some information from them, and started working on my own credit. And then about 7 months after that, I got my credit up to a place to where I was able to get approved for 100% financing on a home loan.
Oh, wow.
Me and my son moved into the house. The day I closed on the house, and this is what really initially put it on my mind to want to get into credit repair. When I closed on the home, I picked my son up from school. We went to the house. He had no idea about any of this.
Oh, man. That's a great surprise.
We walk in the house, and he's kind of looking at me, and I said, "Welcome home." And he, his mouth kind of dropped. He was shocked. And I said, "Now go upstairs and pick out your room." I said, except for this room on this side. That's the master room. I said, "The other two rooms, you have your choice."
For sure.
So he ran upstairs. He was up there for a few minutes. He came running back down. He said, "Dad, I picked my room." And he was so overjoyed. He just gave me this huge hug.
Oh, man.
And he said to me, he said, "Dad," he said, "I'm so happy that we have a home." He said he didn't want to grow up in an apartment. And we had never had that discussion before. And as a father...
So how old was he at this point?
Joshua was 10.
Wow.
10 years old.
Wow.
10 years old. And that moment really stuck in my mind because we had never really talked about that before. But it was a proud moment for me as a father to see that kind of joy on my son's face.
Wow.
And so I kind of, several years later, during this pandemic and quarantine time, was really thinking about some ideas to where me and my family could be self-sustainable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's important right now, man, because I mean, with COVID going on, obviously it has led to a downturn in the economy and things like that. So, I mean, we look for opportunities where you can make passive income, side income, or even just quit corporate or your main job altogether and go full entrepreneur.
Yeah. So it provided an opportunity for me, initially looking at it as earning some side income, but also put me in a position where I can help individuals as well.
For sure.
Help people with their credit, getting it repaired, to put them in position to get business funding if needed, buy a home, purchase a new car, get lower financing.
That's important.
For different things. I mean, even employment now, they're checking your credit history. There's not much that you can do without good credit. So I wanted to be in a position where I could help and help people get in a position to go after and get in a position to meet some of those dreams and expectations that they do have for themselves and family.
Oh, man, see, that's important, man, because, like, number one, any successful entrepreneur that I talk to, whenever they're starting their business or starting their side hustle or starting something that is going to bring in extra money, they never talk about the money first. They always talk about how they can serve others and bring some type of value or asset to other people's lives. So the fact that, number one, you had this experience where, you brought your son home, showed him this home, and seeing the joy in his eyes, and now wanting to help other people experience that same feeling.
Absolutely.
Like, man, that's beautiful. And honestly, that's what community is all about, right? Especially here at Boardroom Vision, where, one of our key pillars of focus is purpose. Identifying your purpose, and usually for me, I've noticed purpose always being tied to how you help others. Where does that come from for you?
For me, it comes from my belief in Scripture.
Okay.
And who we are as a people in Scripture. But I think the key word that you said was community.
Absolutely.
Community and also purpose. And I believe that once an individual taps into what their purpose is, then again, it's not about having your financial needs met, because I'm one, again, as one as your other key pillars is, I'm a man of faith. So my faith is that the Most High will provide.
Absolutely.
But I also love being in a position where I can help others as well.
That's dope.
And again, when it comes to community, you can't beat that. And there's a joy you get from that money doesn't give you that same joy.
Absolutely. All right, man. So before we kind of get into the credit, because I know we kind of hopped off kind of hot there, man. Let's talk about your background a little bit, man. Growing up, man, like, who was Errol? Like, just, from the earlier stages. Because, I mean, right, our audience, right? Our audience is, either young men, Gen Z, millennials, coming up, trying to find their way, especially when they might be the man of the household, new couple, new married couple. Like, what kind of got you to this point? Because you're a little bit more seasoned, right? So what helped you? Oh, I guess, how did you get there?
Well, it's interesting. I have I wouldn't say strange, but in some ways a unique upbringing. I was predominantly raised by my mother, single mom. And I went to a private school from 1st to 8th grade in Boca Raton, Florida. I was one of 2 blacks in the entire school.
Right.
Left that private school, then went on to a public high school that was probably 60% white, 40% black. Then left there and went to Florida A&M University.
Oh, so that's a total flip.
Right. So, I went the full spectrum. But I tell you what was key for me was having a very strong and intelligent mother.
That's good.
Who instilled in me the importance of having respect for people, no matter what their financial or ethnical background was, but showing respect for people who showed respect to you.
Oh, that's good.
That upbringing and that education, I think, has allowed me to be able to, and it's funny, Ben, because I see a lot of these same attributes in you. It gives me the opportunity to be able to mingle, so to speak, in different environments. I can still be myself.
Absolutely.
But I know how to conduct myself, whether it's on the avenue with the brothers, around the corner on the beach with some of the surfing white kids, or up in the boardroom with corporate America as well.
Absolutely.
So again, it's a respect thing, and it's something that I give a lot of credit to my mother for, because even at this age, I still see things that I say, you know what, that's my mom. In me. You know what I'm saying? And so my educational upbringing, playing baseball, having the opportunity to travel to different countries at a very young age with the Buckingham Baseball School, traveled to Venezuela, Aruba, St. Croix, representing the United States playing baseball. So really a lot of different influences in my life that my mother provided opportunities for me to experience. As long as I was doing well in the classroom, she was more than willing to give me the opportunity to experience a lot of different things, which I think played a very key part in my upbringing and how I deal with people. And that was very instrumental for me.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, man, because like with me, my story is similar but a little different. Like, for those that know, I grew up single parent household as well, but I grew up with my father, and his upbringing and his teachings were along those same lines, right? And that has helped me the most, because it was like he used to always preach, yo, you better treat the janitor as the same way you treat the CEO.
Absolutely.
Like judge a man on his character, you know what I mean, and really have that be the center and focus of how you treat people, not because of some financial status or what they do for a living or anything like that, but really try to like be a bridge for a lot of the different places that you go. Because like I would go to my grandma's who would be in the projects, but still be able to go to Linwood, which is like a middle class neighborhood, right? Middle class black neighborhood specifically. So I would have that diversity every day, right? Like I would spend, you know, the mornings at my grandmother's where I'd be with the projects, we doing backflips on mattresses and all that. But then go to Linwood where, you know, I got a basketball court in the backyard and I can just go in the backyard and shoot hoops. So man, now that's very important, man, because we talk about fatherhood, we talk about family, which is another main key pillar here. I know you're a single dad, right?
Yes.
Or you once were. Yeah, you
correct.
recently got
recently married.
Yeah.
Yes.
So explain that journey a little bit, man, because I mean, when I look at you and your son, number one, you started with that story, which was so powerful. But like, man, I see how your son looks at you, he loves you, and the love that you have for him. You know what I mean? What was that journey like a little bit?
It was an interesting one. One thing, like I said, I didn't grow up with my father.
Okay.
But I always knew my father loved me, and I always had strong male influences in my life. And I knew that when I became a father, there was something within me that I knew that it was a major importance. And it's interesting because the one thing that I understood early on was that although my son is my child,
right,
ultimately he doesn't belong to me.
Whew. Explain that a little bit. Yeah.
He is the Most High's child first. You know, Scripture tells us that he knew us before we were formed in the womb.
Yeah, that's real.
So I took fatherhood on as a responsibility, a care given to me to help raise and mold a young man that actually belonged to the Creator.
Yeah.
So fatherhood was it's always has been and always will be very important to me, by how I pour into my son, the things that I teach him, my expectations of him. And it's funny, me and my wife were just talking about this the other night, even times when I've had to go to my son and apologize because of maybe me not handling something in the correct manner.
And that's a different level of maturity, man.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want my son to know that I do love him, that fatherhood is important to me, and I am doing my best, but that doesn't mean that I'm perfect.
Absolutely.
And when I do make mistakes, I need to be able to go to him and let him know, listen, I made a mistake and I apologize.
Right.
Because that's how important our relationship and being a father is to me. And I want to keep it real with him. You understand? So like I said, I moved to North Carolina, I believe February of 2010. Went through a very lengthy custody battle, lasted almost an entire year. Right. But I was awarded full custody of my son, so he's been here in North Carolina with me since January of 2011. Man. And again, until me recently remarrying, it had been just me and him. And again, you know, fatherhood, it's a lot of sacrifice, but it's been well worth it. Man, I'm proud to be Joshua's father, to be honest with you. He's a great kid, and I've been blessed and fortunate to have a good kid.
That's dope, man. Because, like, for me, like, I got a lot of friends, man. Like, some people grew up without their dad. Like, I grew up without my mother, which is another unique situation. But, like, I watched my parents go through a messy divorce. And my inspiration to be a family man, a man of faith, someone that honors the family dynamic, came from the aspiration of not wanting to go through what I've seen my parents go through. It was like, you know what, I'm going to be extra conscious when getting into that. And that actually brought me back closer to the faith whenever I was going down that marriage pipeline, because it's like, I want to figure out what the Most High says about this covenant, about this union. Right. So I started opening up my Bible, and reading it for some of the, like, a lot of scriptures for the first time ever in my life. You know, we grew up in church and you read, you know, just the high level, you know, vacation Bible study stories, but you really don't have that in-depthness that you really need to be a a strong husband, a strong father, so on and so forth.
Right.
And again, man, that word is like a mirror, man. Like when you start reading it and you say,
it's alive.
ooh, like I'm not living anything like this. Like it start to cut you different, man, because if we base our morals, our principles off of what the world tells us, we're still gonna be messed up.
Absolutely.
Because society will tell you that X, Y, and Z is still acceptable when you read that scripture and you like, wait, nah. Like that's not even the bar I should be shooting for. I gotta shoot for this bar. And again, none of us are perfect, man. We all supposed to be. We all are given grace. There are moments where we all fall short, but like we have to understand and know what that bar truly is, and try to make that where we're pushing to. Make that our target. And that was some of the best part for me because, now that I have, quote unquote, turned a certain leaf in my life, and in that covenant, you see everything just kind of falling in line, and a lot of the blessings coming, from the Most High, because it's like, I'm really trying and doing this the right way. I'm trying to do it the right way.
I used this analogy with my son a couple weeks. I asked him, I said, what's your dream car? He said, a Range Rover. Right. I said, okay, suppose you went outside right now and there was a huge crate with 20,000 pieces in it that were a Range Rover, but you had to put it together yourself. Would you try to put it together yourself without reading the instructions?
Yeah.
Or would you read the instructions from the manufacturer who tells you how to put the Range Rover together perfectly, and then work on putting your Range Rover together?
Absolutely.
And I use that as an analogy with my son about the importance of him reading and knowing scripture, because you can't get to know the Creator if you don't know his word.
I agree with that.
And he gave us instructions on how to live. So why not follow the Creator's instructions over what anyone else may say or think is best for you?
I love it. I love it. Oh man, so you had an intensive background, man. You got to travel, and I'm pretty sure that even helped shape your worldview, right? As an early age, you get to go to Venezuela and all these different places. Like, how does getting out of Florida at that time and going to other nations and other cities help motivate you and push towards different aspirations in your life?
Even before traveling with baseball, it was something that my mother did with me.
Okay.
We used to go on cruises, a week or 2 week cruises every summer. My mom made it. She was able to travel as a young girl, which a lot of young black women at that time didn't have the opportunity to experience. But I think she understood the importance of it. And made sure that it was instilled in me. And again, I think it was just a part of me learning again how to deal with people, and again, not being so judgmental about people and maybe what their circumstances are, because there's some people who may live in circumstances that we may think is beneath us, or something that we couldn't fathom seeing ourselves doing, and it's fine for them, and they're still living a life of abundance and a life of being blessed. So as I grew up and matured, looking back on those experiences, it helped me understand to not get so tied in with materialistic things.
Yeah, possessions.
And exactly, possessions, because like we touched on earlier, you can't take any of it with you.
Nah, you can't.
You know,
you can't.
And a lot of times, and y'all have to forgive me, even in conversations like this, sometimes I'm reminded by Scripture. And we know Scripture says that. One, you can't take anything with you, and it says also, don't lay up your treasures here on earth where man and moth can get to it, but we need to be doing things where we're building treasure in the kingdom, because that's a reward that cannot be taken away, and is truly invaluable. So I think it just gave me a different perspective on life.
For sure.
And I, even having this conversation, I'm getting a different understanding, focusing on thinking back on it, than maybe even before us starting this conversation. So I definitely think it's been beneficial. It's something that I do with my son as well. Taking him out of the country several times. I want him to experience different things and be around other cultures and other people. It's just something that I think is very important.
It's funny you say that, because I remember the first time I went to Jamaica, And
My favorite
oh,
spot.
I love Jamaica. I love Jamaica. I do. When you get off the airport and you're riding from the airport, and I think this time we were actually staying at Ocho Rios, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so you had about a little hour drive.
Yeah, it had a little hour drive, and you're coming through, and you see these like little huts and homes, and they're like halfway done. And I'm sitting here, I'm taking pictures. I'm like, man, why are all the houses halfway done? It's like you see the first level done, and you see like the top level is like kind of started but not finished.
Right.
So I just asked the driver like, hey, why are all the houses like not done? He was like, around here it's hard to get loans. So people build their homes with the money that they have.
Right.
So they're not really financing homes like that in like nations like Jamaica, because they're building it as they accumulate funds. And I was like, yo, that is dope. Why don't we do that here?
In Jamaica, once they buy the land, it's there.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of Jamaicans who are now in the U.S. as well, who are working, and they send money back to Jamaica to work on completing their homes.
Yep.
So when those homes are completed and their land is paid for,
they
go back home to Jamaica.
Good.
Absolutely.
But it took me getting out of the nation just to have a different thought process on how to approach not only finances, but like just like home ownership. And because I was looking like, yo, why in America we're so quick to spend money we don't have, man? We're so quick to do all these things, but like, I don't know, I just thought that was super dope. And again, I think that kind of parlays us into a different conversation when we talk about credit and building it up, because again, using it strategically is very important in a way that we can accumulate wealth. But I mean, sometimes just saving and doing it the old-fashioned way is cool too.
Right.
It's just all perspective and what your end goals are. So let's hop in there, since that's a perfect segue for today's conversation, man. When it comes to like home ownership and credit, like for that person that is looking to invest in their first property to live in, but their credit may not be in a place that they are necessarily needed to be to get started. Like, what would you suggest? So I guess, how does that process look whenever someone comes to you?
Client speaking, there's a lot of education. That's one of the things that we provide with Thomas & Associates Credit Solutions. We educate you along the way as well. Okay. And it kind of goes back to, and a lot of people really don't believe this, is it's not just about money. It would benefit me to help a client with their credit, get them in a position where they can buy a new home or car. Then they mess it up a year or two down the road, and they come back and see me, Errol, I need you again.
Yep.
That's good business for me.
Yeah.
But that's not what we want.
It's not empowering.
Right. We want to educate people so that once we do improve their credit, they're taught how to maintain it.
Yeah, it's about empowerment. Yeah.
And so we give information. We want to teach you about credit, credit score, what makes up your credit score, things that you can do yourself to help improve your credit score and maintain it, and the importance of it as well. Right. Because that's not something that they really teach in schools.
It's not.
And it's not something that we really focus on or we really think about until we need it.
Yep.
And a lot of times when you need it, it's too late.
Yeah.
So we not only do we provide education, we also want you have to take it upon yourself to educate yourself.
For sure.
I tell my clients, this is not a one-way street.
Right.
We have to work together on this. There are things that you have to do while I'm working to improve your credit by sending dispute letters, providing tools that are going to help boost your credit score. But you have a part to play in this as well. You need to pay your bills on time. You need to. One of the key things is, and actually this is one of the toughest lessons for me to learn, that my mother used to preach to me all the time as well. Budget.
Well, hey, that is one of our things. That live below your means and budget. Oh, absolutely. I can't stress that enough.
I was too far into my adult life before I really understood the importance of budgeting.
Yeah, and I bet it's even more beneficial now being married, because now you have to bring two people's income into one situation, and it's a different conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And so, you need to educate yourself about what makes up your credit score. Your payment history, that is the number one key factor in your credit score. A late payment can drop your your credit score down 50 points, 50 to 100 points by just a single late payment. The types of credit that you have, how long you've had credit, how much you owe as well, your debt to income ratio. So, it's a not mind altering, but similar to what we talked on.
It's like a mindset you have
it's
to
a
take
different
on.
right.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset that you have to have, and usually that's the most difficult part.
Yeah.
The credit repair and dealing with credit bureaus, sending out dispute letters, that's the easy part. It's changing someone's mindset to say, sometimes you may be out at the store and you see something that you like, but
it's discipline, man.
Right, you have to have discipline.
And
it's not a good time to spend the money on that right now, especially if you're looking to purchase a home, purchase a new car. Yep. And sometimes we have to learn how to be content in a situation, not content to the point where we're just going to sit there and stay there, but content for where we are now as we work towards getting ourselves into a better position.
For sure. Yeah, and it's funny because you spoke about, they not teaching us about credit in school, right? One of the things my dad used to try to always emphasize is that, hey, protect your credit, protect your credit before I went off to college. Because the thing about college is, even though they're not teaching about a credit score, they actually prey on people at that age.
Absolutely.
To get you to open up credit cards. And they do it with a slice of pizza. I don't know if they did that at FAMU.
Yo, they did.
Yeah. They'll set up this little stand and have some pizza out. You hungry, and you are hungry in college because you ain't got no money. You go over, get a little slice of pizza. Hey, while you eating, fill this out. You don't know what you're filling out. You open up a credit card. You get it. Oh, it's got a $600 limit on it, and you go max it out and end up not paying for it. I've seen so many people fall victim to that. But you what?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I remember one homecoming.
See,
actually, it was homecoming my freshman year, and I wanted to be fresh, and I had messed around and got a credit card. Now, see, my mom had those same conversations with me. I didn't really listen and take heed like I should have, and I got a credit card, and I think it was may have been for Burdines.
Yeah.
And it's funny you said that because I think it had about a $600 limit. And when I left out the Burdines, I had $600 worth of stuff that I was going to wear for that whole week of homecoming, and now here I am stuck, and I don't have no way to pay for
that
$600 back.
Just hitting the little minimum, but guess what? That balance is not going down, man. And going back to your original point, which is so key and so important, of living below your means. It is something that we have to change our mindset on drastically. We had Steve Stack on the show a couple weeks ago. Go check out that interview if you haven't. But, he's a self-made millionaire, has coined the phrase, not get rich quick, but get rich steady. I think that is phenomenal phrase because it's something we have to do consistently. And it starts with our credit, living below our means, and avoiding debt like the plague. Not getting into high interest debt. Let me clarify that, right? Because when you get those credit card loans or credit cards, they're charging 18, 22% after your interest-free period. Guess what? You're probably only going to be paying the minimum for a long time until you get a lump sum money. And when that lump sum of money comes, are most people really disciplined to pay off their credit card at that point? Or is it to go out and get more stuff that we potentially don't need, right? So I guess strategies and how to handle when you get into that situation, right? What are some of your strategies that you may tell your clients or try to inform your clients to around having that debt that you have now? You're making minimums and you can't really knock it down the way that you want to.
Well, being extended credit and having those high credit limits, it can be a positive and a negative. It depends on how you use it.
Right.
Utilization is key. But like you've stressed, you don't want to overextend yourself. Creditors like to see the fact that you are credit worthy or that people are extending credit to you, but they also take specific note to your utilization.
Gotcha.
For instance, if you have a credit card limit that's $1,000, most in the industry will say 30% utilization is good, which means you will only carry a balance of $300.
That's good.
Now there's some, and I actually stress to my clients, I prefer them to be closer to 25 or 20%.
Right.
And so you don't want to be in a position where you're just paying off or paying the minimum amount a month, because again, that's affecting your credit score negatively. You want to stay at the 30% utilization or less.
Right.
That's going to be key and optimal. And when you become educated about your credit and how to handle those things, you'd be amazed at the doors that are open to you with having good credit.
Talk to me.
You know, that's when you can start, even you know, for those who maybe having ideas of starting businesses or have recently started businesses, you know, having a personal credit score of a 680 or higher can open the doors for business funding for you.
That's true.
And ways for you to get loans to take those funds, start businesses, make investments that are going to yield profits for you. And again, but it starts with your good credit.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, credit is very important. Credit is key, and how you handle your credit now and moving forward, it's going to be very instrumental in the moves that you're going to be able to make coming up in the future.
And it's funny you say something about credit utilization, because, like, again, credit cards are not bad in totality.
Right.
Like, you want to use them, you want to get extended credit in certain situations, because again, it starts to give you history that you are a responsible adult, essentially, right? But one of the ways that can also use credit in a good way is accumulating points. Like, I've taken vacation just on my credit points before. Like, I didn't have to spend a dime because I had, 70,000, 80,000 points stored up, because I'm literally just swiping my credit card on the month, but paying it off exactly that month. So once the end of the month comes, it still is a below 30% utilization, but I use my credit card all month. And for me, it was also important because now it allows me to see what I'm spending a month on certain things. So for example, if I have what I call my gas card, I may spend $200 a month in gas. All right, now I have a clear line of sight into my gas, and as a business owner, I can write a lot of those expenses off.
Absolutely.
So now I'm looking at my gas I can use as a write-off. I'm accumulating points to, for a potential vacation in the future. And it's a clear line of sight into what I'm doing a month. Like, so there are some great benefits, and it's building your credit as long as you're paying it off monthly.
That's right.
So man, this is good conversation, man. I get excited about this because, like, man, one of my biggest things about when starting Boardroom Vision is, like, number one, empowering people to make the step that they may have been sleeping on themselves about making. It's like, I want to buy a house, but I'm not because my credit messed up, now it's just not the right time. It's never gonna be the right time. You have to at least start making steps to get towards that place, because, to be quite honest, I was reading this the other day. The white wealth in America is, for average white American citizen, is 180,000. So they're passing, like, property down from generation on generation. For the black family, it's 18,000. That is a very wide disparity. And it's usually because we don't own the properties that we're in. We're renting them out. And again, everyone has to go through a season. You have to get to a place of ownership. But if you have a steady income, you're going to be at a place for a while, start making the steps today, because accumulating wealth starts with home ownership. That is your first real estate investment. Absolutely. And everything else goes from there.
And it's key, what you're saying is you have to start now.
Yeah.
I get contacted weekly with individuals who they're in a position where they want to buy a house, and they tell me, listen, I want to buy a house in a month or two. And I pull their credit scores, and I have to tell them that's going to be impossible for them.
Right.
And your credit is not going to fix itself. There are things that you can do to improve your credit, but you need to start now, and it starts with having a plan, and even going back to budgeting, but you have to start. You have to start. And I tell people, I had to tell a client this a couple weeks ago. Gentleman came to me, he's a doctor,
right?
Has his own practice, but runs everything through his personal credit. Has no business credit at all.
Wow.
Pays all of his bills late. And really wanted me to do a complete turnaround for him in 2 to 3 months. And I told him, I said, you didn't get into this position in 2 to 3
overnight,
months.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't expect me to fix your credit overnight. It takes time. And a lot of times, people don't want to be patient.
Right.
And it's a process. It takes patience. But again, goes back to what you said, purpose.
Yeah.
When you have that purpose in mind and you're resolute within yourself to work towards getting that purpose, you will have the patience, and you have to develop also, factors that are going to keep you in line with that, so that you can eventually meet that goal that you're working towards. But it takes patience and determination, and it takes time.
And another benefit too for protecting your credit score, ensuring that you get the best rate out there, it allows you to pay less for whatever you're buying. And I'll give you a prime example here, right? Like, we're actually in the process of refinancing our home. I'm not gonna get too specific, but the interest rate we have now, we're about to refinance to a new rate to where it's gonna save us almost $70,000 in interest alone over a 30-year loan. Like, $70,000 over 30 years is a lot of money that you can put back in your pocket, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, whenever you're going to apply either for a car or for a home, and you go from a 7% interest rate down to a 4, or a 6% down to a 3, or 5 to a 2, whatever the case may be, like, that is real money that you can allocate into other places to pay down either the debt, that you can put into your savings for investments, whatever the case may be. But, like, it helps the overall financial picture because you're not paying as much for whatever you're buying. And, like, that's how people accumulate wealth, because now you can be strategic with how you're using your credit.
What you said is very key and important. Your credit score can literally save you tens of thousands of dollars.
For sure.
With a, auto loan, mortgage loan, what you're paying for insurance, it can literally save you tens of thousands of dollars. And it's very, very important. I'm glad you brought that up. That was a great example.
For sure.
Great example.
So for someone that, that is at the stage now where, okay, because I think the previous scenario is for that person that may be coming out of college that has no credit and they're being cognizant of protecting it. But what about the person that did make the mistake to say, hey, you know what? I opened up such credit card or this car loan, it went delinquent, but I have to find a way out of this situation. Like, how do you usually handle, what information can you give us around, like, delinquencies and things of that nature?
Okay. Let me start by saying this. About 79 to 80% of credit reports in this country have errors on them. Each error can drop your credit score. So I tell people, really it's illegal for me to tell anyone, I can remove everything, every negative item off of your credit report. It's really illegal for me to say that. And essentially, it's not really anything, I'm not removing it off your credit report. I'm using laws that have been put in place on consumers' behalf to remove items or negative items off of an individual's credit report. So a lot of people don't understand because they're not well versed with the FDCPA and the FCRA, which are two acts that are particularly written for the consumers in dealing with creditors and credit agencies and credit bureaus. And so a lot of times, we do make mistakes. And I was one of them. Again, it took me almost 8 months to get to a place to where I could get into a position to get financing for a home. But there are ways that even though when we make mistakes, there are laws that are set up on our behalf that means that the credit bureaus, they have a duty and responsibility to make sure that they are reporting everything about me accurately.
Absolutely.
So, again, we got to step back again, understanding what your purpose is, what you're trying to do, certain things you need to start doing yourself, pay your bills on time, live amongst your means, and then we start using these laws on behalf of our clients' benefits to challenge negative items. And the good thing is, if there is something reported negatively on your credit report and you bring that to the attention of the credit bureau, and either one of the credit bureaus, and then they're unable to verify that information as being accurate, it has to come off of your credit report. So, we don't necessarily dispute items that we know or debts that we know are valid on your behalf. But again, how it's reported and it having to be reported with 100% accuracy, that's how we use the laws on our client's behalf to get negative and erroneous items removed off of individuals' credit reports. But again, be responsible with your credit. Again, pay your bills on time, and don't get involved with or start purchasing things that you know you really can't afford at that time.
Absolutely. So what about a situation, I guess in that same scenario, for someone that may have opened up a credit card, is gone delinquent, would you suggest just going ahead and paying it off? Or I guess, how does that process look whenever you're trying to, when you have your goal set, when you know what needs to be done, but it's like, all right, do I just, allow, either you work with the person that is delinquent with or pay the whole thing off? Like, what does that process really look like?
There's some factors that are going to play into that.
Okay.
One of the main factors is how long they've had that credit card.
Okay.
How long that credit history has been in place. Paying off something that's been charged off or sold to another creditor is not necessarily going to increase your score.
And see, that's a big misconception, right? Most people think that, all right, I got, $5,000 on my tax return. I want to fix my credit. Let me just go back and knock everything off that I've been delinquent on, and now I'm just going to have an 800 overnight.
That is not how it works.
See, that's key information.
Some of those accounts, especially if an account has been charged off, and we'll say there isn't a lot of history attached to it, it's reflecting on your credit report as a negative. Paying it off, it's still showing as a charge-off, which is a negative. And that's why we use the laws to our benefit.
Right.
Again, because the debt can absolutely be valid. That doesn't mean it can be reported on your credit report if it is not accurate information. Also, some of the creditors you can work with, and I also say this, you never admit to a debt.
Right.
You never want to admit to it. There are statutes of limitations. And again, that plays in too. So if you have something that's been on your credit report for 6 years, coming up on 7 years, and it's a charge off, no.
It's about to fall off anyway.
Don't pay it off. It's going to fall off. Absolutely right. So it's not worth spending that money, because as long as it's on there, it's still going to reflect negative. But again, there are times where you may contact the creditor, make an arrangement to settle it, but also get something in writing for them saying, once you settle it, they will stop reporting it or remove it from the credit bureaus.
And see, I think that's part of the benefit of bringing someone like yourself on, an expert. And even if I'm in a situation where I need my credit fixed, like, I wouldn't mind paying an expert, because this is the expertise that you get to kind of circumvent the process sometime, right? So for example, the same scenario you just used, if I have a $300 credit card that is about to fall off, but in my mind I don't know that just paying it off is not going to do anything, I could really just take that 300, help come to you, and you guide me not only through, this situation, but my entire credit history to boost my credit score. And like, that's, how we have to kind of look at things sometimes. Like, investments in yourself can pay more dividends than just, you thinking you know everything, because it takes a lot of research. I'm pretty sure you've done this for a very long time. You've gotten certified. You've done a lot of research that just the average person just has not had the time to do, or been able to do. So, I mean, I think that's a really good benefit in what you guys are doing, man. And I salute it, because, like, again, it's a posture of servitude that empowers the people that you're working with.
Absolutely. And one of the things that's key with what we do is, outside of what we're disputing on your accounts, we're also providing tools that individuals can use that will help boost their credit score. And I'm going to share one with you all here. So anyone who may be looking to increase your credit score or reestablish or rebuild credit, something you can check out. Well, let me ask you first, is it okay if I do share it?
No, absolutely.
Okay, check out kickoff.com. That's KIKOFF.com. It's one of the first tools we give to our clients. It costs you nothing at all. A group of individuals in Silicon Valley, the tech industry, they created this to help individuals with their credit. And essentially what it is you sign up for an account. They're going to give you a loan for $12. You're not going to see a penny of that. They're going to put it in what's called a digital wallet.
Okay.
Right? So every month you'll get a text and an email letting you know payment is due.
Okay.
You'll go online, click a button. Now you've made your payment for a month, for the month.
So it's establishing like.
But it's going to establish another loan trade line on your credit report. It will report in 30 to 60 days. It's going to report positively. And as long as you take 2 to 3 minutes to click a button every month, you will have a full year of showing that you are making payments on time, and it's going to immediately boost your credit score.
But are you paying the $12? I guess
Out of the digital wallet,
Yeah.
that the $12 loan that they give you,
Yeah.
which stays essentially in their software on their
Right.
system, you just click a button to make your payment once
that
a
is
month.
intriguing.
And I mean, it literally takes you 2 to 3 minutes a month, and they're going to tell you, they'll send you an email or a text a week before your payment's due. And you go online, you click a button, you've made your payment, and this is going to immediately help boost your credit
this
score.
is legal?
Absolutely.
Haha.
Absolutely.
And this is a free gem, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was going to give this one away.
And again, these are different tools. You know, we also have a couple vendors that we work with, a couple companies where if you're renting and you're looking to go into home ownership, where you can use even up to 2 years of rental payments to have reported on your credit report.
Wow.
Which is showing as another credit line.
Wow.
And it's going to boost your score. So again, we provide tools and education outside of us just sending letters on your behalf.
That is intriguing because, like, number one, I think that's a very good idea and something that I've been advocating for a long time. Whenever we're talking about how credit scores are built, I wholeheartedly believe that leasing and rent information should be in there, because if you're going into a situation where you're going from rent to buying a home and you're trying to establish the fact that you are responsible and make your payments, why isn't that information counted into our credit score numbers, right? And I mean, again, I don't know if I'm gonna go here today with politics and legislations, things of that nature, but like these are things that, you know, some of your local and state federal legislations, they can help push things through.
Absolutely.
So now that's I did not know about the kickoff.com.
Kickoff.com. KIKOFF.com.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to make sure people get that checked out. Man, this is good information though, man. I didn't know we was going to get this in depth, but as far as, so let's talk about some of the things that we covered. We've talked about, you know, the person that has no credit yet, protecting their credit, not going out, opening up a credit card to, you know, max it out for homecoming. We've talked to the person that has already been there, already maxed out for homecoming, but, you know, now trying to rectify their issue because, you know, they want to either purchase a home, so on and so forth. We've talked about, you know, the benefits of saving money with credit, so on and so forth. Like, what are let's kind of just go back to the beginning. All right, so as we kind of wrap up, you know, just credit talk and some of the things that are able to help our audience, can we just get like a high level of even what a credit score is and like how it is changed or articulated from what a credit bureau looks at versus how we look at it?
Sure. Well, your credit score essentially is letting creditors know your risk value. And credit scores range anywhere between usually 300 to 850. A good credit score is 680 to 700, 720. Great is from 720 and above. And if you can reach the 800 plateau and go above that, you have excellent credit.
800 club.
And you can, I mean, there aren't many doors that will be closed for you with an 800 credit score. And again, your credit score basically tells creditors, it tells them whether or not you are someone who is more likely to pay a loan back or pay off extended credit back versus someone who's not. There are different models that depending on the different credit bureaus, different credit agencies look at to determine a credit score. But again, it is what they look at as a risk factor when they are looking at whether or not to extend credit or extend loans to you as an individual. So again, it's important and it's interesting because I was a little shocked at the number of people who have absolutely no clue of what their credit score is. And it's something that you absolutely should be aware of. It's not something that you should be afraid of, but you need to know what your credit score is, and it will help determine what you need to do to improve your credit score.
Yeah, no, I think that's good because one thing, I raised my hand for the 800 club, but like that's something that I take seriously. Like, I watched my credit go from like 680 in my early 20s to that level, and that's like 15 years, right? So just protecting it for so long, I've always invested in some form of credit platform that gives me alerts to make sure no one's out there scamming my social security, giving me bad credit. I've always made sure that I'm prioritizing as well, right? Because I think oftentimes what can happen is, you may be renting, and you might have a place that you're renting, and you might have a credit card, but most people will let their credit card go to default before cutting the cable in the house. Like your cable doesn't affect your credit score. Like, so for me, I used to do stuff like, I'm cutting all the unnecessary stuff to pay down what I know is gonna go to the credit bureau because I'm trying to protect my credit score that much. So now it helps you prioritize your bills. Like, all right, if you really are in a pinch and you got some decisions to make, pay your credit stuff first. You know what I mean? Like all the luxuries like clothes and cable and all that, like that can wait. You know what I mean? You can, use your phone LTE to watch YouTube to get you through some tough times. But like for me, it was always about prioritizing like what bills need to be paid first and how it's going to affect that credit score.
That's amazing. I wish I was able to have the wherewithal to do that at a younger age. It took me, like I said, well into my adult life to when I really understood the importance of credit and how I needed to maintain it. A lot of times it's really like in conversation with my son, it's like your GPA or your SAT score. So the lower your score is, the higher of a risk you are. The higher your score, the least risk you are, and the more people are willing to extend loans and credit to you. And so that's key. And having the mindset that you had, unfortunately, it was told to me. I didn't listen at that age. Certainly wish I did, but having that mindset is very key and important in handling your business and your finances.
And I can't take credit at all. Again, my pops, and again, I know you said your mom's taught you a lot of things, but this is another reason Boardroom Vision is here. I want to make sure our people, our audience is hearing this. Like, you have to hear this to know better, to do better. You know what I mean? Like, if if your boys are telling you like, forget them credit cards, I'm just gonna max this out, and they get it when they get it. Like, they're not pushing you to be better, man. They're not pushing you to be a leader. They're not pushing you to man up and really take responsibility for the stuff that you owe. It's kind of like, you ever watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
The Lannisters, they always pay their debts. Like, that's, I laugh at it, but like having that mind state behind knowing like, look, if I told you I'm gonna pay you something, I'm gonna be a man of integrity to make sure I try to get that to you the best way possible. And like, just even with small stuff, like, if I borrow $50 from somebody and I tell them I'm gonna give it to them by Wednesday, like, I want to be a man of integrity and stand on that. To say, hey, even if it means, not eating that day, if I told you I'm gonna give you $50 on Wednesday, I'm gonna give you $50 on Wednesday, and I'll suffer the consequences on the backside. That's just, that integrity is, like, I don't know, it's just certain people got it, man.
Being a man of your word.
Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah. And like, I know with you being a man of faith as well, like, that plays into your fiber, man.
Absolutely.
Your reputation, like, all that, man. So
Absolutely
it's
does.
important for me, man. So we got to make sure we pushing young men, man, like, to for real, like, get your credit right, man. I'm real big on that because it's one of the ways that this system kind of robs us from a lot of the opportunities that our counterparties get, right? And, again, me having 15 years in corporate finance, these are just some of the tricks that, I've seen other people take advantage of. Like, when you get approved for $2 million loan, business loans, and you have no business history, like, how they do that? Because of their credit.
Your credit score.
The credit score
Absolutely
did
right.
it. Like, that's how the game go, man. So
that's it,
man. This is a good conversation, man. I really do appreciate you, man, for coming on, man. Just being able to, pass this information along to our men, because it's a conversation I think we need to have more in public. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and And thank you again tremendously for allowing me to be a part of this.
No,
really
for sure.
appreciate it.
Man, so man, before we get out of here, man, drop your ads. Let the people know where they can find you, man, if they want to get in contact with you, help get their credits right.
I would say Facebook, but I have to remember. I'm reminded constantly that I have changed my Facebook name to Hebrew, and it's actually written in Hebrew, but I think you can still find me at Errol Thomas.
All right.
We do have a business page, Thomas & Associates Credit Solutions. Thomas & Associates 2020 at gmail.com. Website, Thomas & Associates Credit Solutions, all spelled out, .com. Phone number, 980-989-6449. You can email, call with any questions that you may have. Always available and always want to be of assistance and help and to give back. So it's not always about helping out clients, so to speak. We want to help individuals. So if there's anything that I can help you with and you have questions about, even if you're deciding to do, work on your credit yourself, if you need some suggestions or some ideas about the dispute letters that you need to send, get in contact with us. We're more than happy to help. And again, I just want to thank Ben again for this opportunity.
Man.
And thank you all.
First and foremost, man, I just want to say, man, I appreciate the man that you are. You know what I mean? Like, just watching you over the years, the way that, you've been a father, how you carry yourself, being a man of integrity. Like, man, I salute that, like, to the utmost, man. Like, we need more examples, man, of just, like, men that are leaders. You know what I mean? Even if, like, what you're doing, because again, none of us are perfect, but we have to push to be righteous. We have to have some type of form of integrity in how we operate, man. And you are a testament to that. So I salute everything you do. And I mean, honestly, man, y'all know my ads, Boardroom Vision across the board, man. Check us out. So before we get out of here, I want to do a quick final word, and then we're going to go to the 7 for 7, man, because, I got a real interesting one this week.
Well, actually, my final word for today is, and I really want to, which are faith, family, health, purpose, finance, education, and social. And again, I just wanted to thank you, Ben, for allowing me to be a part of this. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the vision. And I'm excited for the things that the Most High is going to do, not just for your vision and what you are looking to accomplish to do, but what he's going to do with you and your family, starting right here in your home as well.
Man, I appreciate that.
So again, thank you.
No, for real, I appreciate that, man. That's very humbling, man. Man, see, I gotta lighten the mood now, man. That's got a little heavy on me. Cause I take that, I really do. I'm really humbled by it. But y'all know we gotta always end on a cool fly note, man. This week, see, y'all don't know Errol's background when it comes to his baseball. He touched on it a little bit earlier, but this man got deep roots when it comes to FAMU. Yeah, he even played some major league, correct?
Not in the major leagues, but I did play a couple years of professional baseball.
That's the same difference. You getting paid to play ball, like that's a
Absolutely.
lot of people's dream, man, like for sure. So I'm gonna ask this question, man. Who are your top 7 black baseball players of all time?
Of all time?
Of all time.
Satchel Paige.
Is this in order?
There is some order to it.
Okay.
There is some order to it. And of course, with me being a pitcher, Satchel Paige was one of the greatest pitchers to ever live.
All right.
He was, I don't think anyone really knew his true age when they allowed him to play in the major leagues. He was more than likely in his mid to high 40s. And still was one of the best ever. Lee Smith, who is another pitcher. He used to pitch with the Chicago Cubs. He's actually one of my favorites because I actually had the opportunity to meet him. And I used to watch him. Any opportunity I had, I would watch Lee Smith. Dusty Baker.
Oh, okay.
He just really seems to me to be, and more from a manager perspective, because I think he would have been the type of manager that I would have loved to have played for.
No, this is a real baseball list, by the way.
Man, let me tell you.
Like, this is a baseball list.
Dwight Gooden.
All right, I respect that one.
Because as a youngster, when Dwight first came on the scene with the New York Mets, he had what we term in baseball, in the pitching circle, a yellow hammer curveball.
Okay, what's that mean?
Meaning, if you're looking at a clock, right, The 12 to 6, that was the rotation and the break of his curveball, meaning it broke straight down. And I always tried to mimic that with my own curveball. Yeah. Mine was more probably a 1 to 7, not quite 12 to 6. But he was always one of my favorites. How many is that? That's 4.
Yep.
Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn. All right.
As a pitcher, he worked magic.
Right.
As a hitter.
Okay.
And he was one of the people that I would kind of sit back and I would be like, I would try to think about how I would get him out.
Right.
My approach to pitching to him, and he was actually the type of hitter that any pitcher on his best day with his best stuff, he'd still hit you.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone who could literally hit the ball where they wanted to.
Right.
At any time.
At that level too.
Absolutely.
Like that's a different type of level.
Absolutely. Let's see.
That's 5. We got 2 more, and they don't have to be just
Ozzie Smith.
Ooh, that's one of mine. I rock with Ozzie.
Coming up, I was a pitcher and a shortstop when I was younger, and watching Ozzie play shortstop, man, that was just absolutely amazing.
Wow. No Hank Aaron, like no Jackie. Like
I think I'm only at 5 now, and I was going to say, and there's so many. See, because now you put me in a tough position.
Yeah, see.
Now, and I've got to do this as well. And again, some of this is coming again because I'm a pitcher.
Okay,
so
I understand. I understand.
And that's a different beast.
I understand that.
So, Gibson.
I can't be mad at that.
Because I look at these guys as really some that really paved the way for me.
That's like Negro League, like crossing the barrier, like that. I get it.
Absolutely. And if I have to finish with one, it would have to be probably Jackie Robinson.
That's an honorable list, though.
And again, because for him opening the door for our people, and again, it's a touchy situation for me because I think I love the Negro League, and what we were doing with the Negro League, we really changed the game of baseball.
Yeah,
we really changed the game of baseball and the way the game was played. So I give honor and credit to all those guys who really opened up the door and paved the way for me and so many others to come through and play baseball, and have the opportunity again. It afforded me the opportunity to travel, paid for me to go to school. Gave me an opportunity to do something that I truly love doing.
Got a ring,
I did. To really truly love and experience and actually getting paid for it, that's
dope.
That was amazing.
That's dope, man.
It was amazing.
That's dope. Like, when I grew up in the era with Kenny Lofton and your Ken Griffey Jr.'s, like, them was my guys growing up.
Absolutely.
Like,
and see, now you make me feel bad because, Griffey Jr.,
Barry Bonds, like, oh, man, it was a good era, man. But honestly, I understand your purview as a picture, like it's a different beast.
Yeah.
I feel you. But man, hey man, I appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you, man.
I love everything you're doing, man. Stay safe out here, man. Y'all come back and tune in to another episode next time. And this is the Kickback signing off, y'all. Peace.